Hey ladies and gentlemen, this is Leslie. Today I just want to do a quick video talking about um, surrendering. So every time when we hear spiritual information, we always hear about we have to surrender. And, you know, when I first heard it, I was like, okay, what does that mean? Surrender to what? Like, what's the concept? But now that I've been on this path, I have a better understanding of what that means. I just want to go ahead and kind of give you guys from my experience, what that means. So one thing we have to realize is like we're basically like a radio frequency. So when you deal with, the humans, we're vibration, right? So we're basically in an energy body, which is made from the animal kingdom, but we're spirit in here trying to have a physical experience in the holographic universe. And based by the universe, all of our unconscious programming that we don't want to face, we kind of manifest it out in the holographic universe so we can basically interact it. So in essence, we're kind of going through a rehabilitation process by understanding ourselves. However, there's a time based on the yugas in Hinduism, or in Greek it's called the ages, where the ancients basically informed us that the Mayans, time is a circle, and based on the time is a circle, that means we lose our, just so there's the yin and yang, black and white. White basically means when we are consciously aware in the conscious mind, and black basically means we're in the conscious. And in ancient mysticism, that's when they call the underworld, because we're unconscious. You're in the underworld below the surface. So what happens is when we're in the Kali Yuga stage, or when we're in what they call the Iron Age, is basically when we completely lose our connection to the upper world and we're completely in the underworld, which is basically the unconscious world. Now, why we're in the unconscious world is because we don't have access to our conscious. We're basically working on underworld of the subconscious. So that's why a lot of spiritual traditions always talk about working with your shadow, because your shadow, you're working with your unconscious. Because our conscious not fully activated, we're basically manifesting from our unconscious, and then that's why we're manifesting a lot of darkness, because we're not really paying attention to what we're manifesting. We're just haphazardly manifesting without truly understanding why we're manifesting it. Now, there's powers at play that understand the dynamics, and they're using that to their best advantage. So what they do is they purposely manipulate you to get further into the matrix, because what happens is we want to manifest from the single right here, which is our center. Like the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, this is our center. But the Christians, basically, the Christian mystics, understood that this was going to happen in the cycle of the Iron Age, where we're going to lose our consciousness. So to make it easier, they basically said, when you get stuck into the holographic universe, that's when you are basically creating sin, because you're leaving your center. Remember, heaven is here, is within. So the reason why you're heaven within is it's not really a place that you leave, it's a vibration. So what happens is, as you fine tune your vibration by your thoughts, your attitude, your good deeds, having the heart center, your whole vibration shifts in the holographic universe. And as your vibration shifts in the holographic universe, your environment shifts. So in essence, heaven is a state of frequency that's in your consciousness, but you won't be able to get into the kingdom of heaven on earth, unless you actually do the good deeds and embody. You have to embody heaven to be of heaven. So that's why you have to pay attention to your thoughts, and your thoughts create reality, and you have to pay attention to your shadow. So what happens is the human body is like a frequency. So as we go into these cycles, right, because it's yin and yang, we have to go through a moment of darkness, and we have to go through a moment of light. Now, when we go to the moment of light, that's when we transition into having our consciousness awaken. So when you have your consciousness awaken, unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with a lot of chaos from the old cycle. So right now it looks like we're going into a new cycle, so we have to clear up the backlog of the shadow that's manifesting chaos in this world. However, the agents of chaos from the old cycle understand that we're going through this process. So from my understanding, what they're doing is they're continuously trying to create more and more chaos, because they're trying to prevent the awakening from happening. So the way that you're going to prevent the awakening from happening is to have people emotionally bombard them with war, and make them in the lower chakras, right? Because when you're awakening, you have these 7 chakras. So as you awaken, you want to open up your third chakra, your third eye, and your crown chakra. The gnosis is dealing with your crown chakra. Visual seeing is with your third eye. But if people are surviving in low frequency survival mode, right? So where they're just on their lower chakras, which basically they're in fear, their root and sacral chakras, their lower 2 chakras, they're going to be in fear. They're going to be in a point of scared and fear and limitations and in survival mode. So then they're going to be focusing on the lower two chakras. So a lot of what's happening is trying to make people just function on the two lower chakras, which is survival. So that's why they're attacking consciousness. That's why they're attacking your survival skills. Now, the way to get out of this is to analyze yourself, because remember, if we're in the holographic universe, they reflect into us what's in our internal universe. To the soft power way to go over that is to really analyze yourself, your subconscious, your shadow, and analyze why are these things happening to you, the karma. So once you get into that understanding, fine tune it, the universe will no longer reflect that back to you. So really getting to yourself, surrendering your ego, because your ego is the one that's creating this chaos. Admit that you probably have some darkness and some shadow. It's okay. We don't have to discuss it here, just for yourself. And then address those shadows, and then therefore you can have a clear signal, and basically you surrender your shadow and admit what you don't like about yourself, whatever. So therefore when you admit that, you can embody yourself, you come back into yourself. And just real quick, that's why in Christians, if you do leave your body, you can get possessed, because this is where your soul, this is your temple. You want to make sure your temple is nice and clean for the Holy Spirit, right? So what happens is if you leave your body and you're out in the holographic universe, you can have other entities come into your body. So that's why when you have Christians and priests want to do exorcism, they go to your consciousness, because they understand your consciousness, which is the Father and Holy Spirit, is being taken over either by a thought form or a ghost. So you want to protect your Holy Spirit, right, from the temple. You want to make sure that you're always in your body so no one can possess it. And that's my quick video, guys. Hope you guys like it. Happy Friday and peace.